I want to talk to you about. It's very hard to get this. It's hard to get a hold of it. And just look at Jesus and the 12 disciples and how challenging it was for him 3 years, day and night with these guys, these 12, and trying to get them to understand especially the cross. What does it mean to follow the crucified Jesus? And so I want to use as our passage Matthew 16. Now, without going into great detail, this is for the first time Jesus begins to explain to them after Peter confesses that Jesus is the Christ, and Jesus begins explaining to them about he's got to go to Jerusalem and suffer and die and be killed and then be raised to dead. And then we know the passage here. Then Peter picks it up. He hears this about the suffering and the crucified Jesus, and he responds, Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Never, Lord, this shall never happen to you. And Jesus turned and said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. And see, Peter gets half the gospel, but he doesn't get the suffering part. He doesn't get the crucified Messiah part. And, for him, like Messiah, suffering, Jesus Christ, Messiah, it doesn't fit. It's not what he signed up for. And so he's upset, like we get upset as Jesus takes us on this journey. And so he does what I know I do, and I'm sure you do sometimes too, is he starts ordering Jesus around and telling him what to do. And never, Jesus, you're not doing that. God loves you. God's going to protect you. Probably thinking Psalm 91 and all that. And what's interesting is Peter is Christ-centered, but he's not cross-centered. He's Christ-centered, but he's not cross-centered. And the problem is, but Jesus is a crucified Christ. And Jesus he's in a state of revulsion by it. In fact, in the original Greek, it's very strong. When he turns to Peter, it's really this like vomiting, like revulsion that Peter has said this. And he says, you get behind me, and he recognizes that this is coming. Yes, it's a friend of his, but this is actually Satan himself speaking. It's demonic. And it's but what's interesting is that term, Jesus turns, it's a gut. It's not this intellectual, Peter, get behind me, Satan. No, it is a visceral, get behind me, Satan. And then he says, I love this, he says, you do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. And really, the word in Greek is, you are gripped. You are gripped by human concerns, not of human beings, not God. And it's that it's got a grip on him. And just like in our people, and Peter's been with him now at least 1.5 years, but he is gripped by the world's understanding of what discipleship should be. And Jesus, basically, he goes after him. And so